What will happen if you put the wrong fuel into your car? Obviously, there are two categories of cars. We have diesel cars and there are petrol cars. So what will happen if they put petrol in your diesel car or they put diesel in your petrol car? When petrol is put in your diesel car, you're looking at minor to major repairs, because the diesel fuel system is like the tank, which is at the back seats, fuel pump, which is located on the engine, injector pump, and then there's the common rail, and there are the injectors. Those are the components of the diesel fuel system. Now, the injector pump actually relies on diesel for lubrication, and we already know that petrol doesn't have lubrication properties. It's like a solvent. So now, the first thing that's going to get petrol is the diesel filter. Then that petrol will go straight into the pump, whereby because the petrol doesn't have lubrication properties, it's going to get some kind of friction and damage starts there. It doesn't stop there. It goes to the common rail. Now, the common rail is the component which gets the pressurized fuel from the fuel pump, and then it measures it accordingly for the injectors. Now, that's another component which can get messed up by the petrol, and then the petrol is going to get into the injectors and then into the combustion chamber. Once it gets there, you know, diesel and petrol have different ignition properties, whereby diesel relies mainly on compression, whereby you have to compress air, then introduce diesel in mist form for it to ignite. And then for petrol, it just relies on a very small percentage of compression, then a spark is introduced. Now, you've introduced a highly flammable liquid into high compression. The first thing that will happen is detonation, like pre-ignition. You know, before the full compression has been achieved, there's going to be spontaneous ignition. The piston will get a lot of heat, and then the con rods will get a lot of pressure from the pre-ignition, because the ignition has already caused a high pressure region, and then the piston is trying to go up to compress the air. So now they're going to repel, and that's going to cause a fire in your engine, and that's bad for the engine. Might be some kind of catastrophic damage, or maybe if you've not gone far with that wrong fuel, you can just do minor repairs to the system. The engine will rev too high because it's pre-igniting, and then it's going to stall. Obviously, you have to look at all those parts that I've mentioned before: the fuel filter, the fuel pump, the common rail, and the injectors. You might get away with it by just cleaning them, but if the damage is too bad, maybe if the fuel pump has gotten a lot of friction and there are metal chips that are going to the common rail, obviously those metal chips will go into the injectors and they're going to clog them up. Mind you, the injectors have very, very minute holes. They are actually microscopic, and now those metal chips are going to block those holes. So now the engine will just stall, and that's the first case scenario. And it's better for petrol to get into a diesel vehicle because it's going to stop itself, and then you can just wash those parts. If the damage is not too bad, you can clean them, or if the damage has gone to the components and destroyed them, you have to now actually replace them. The next scenario is whereby you get your petrol car filled with diesel, and that's actually more grave, because now the petrol fuel system is like the tank, which is at the back seats, the primary fuel pump assembly, which has the fuel pump. It's actually a motor, and then there's a fuel strainer, and then there's the secondary fuel pump. There's the petrol common rail, it's a small one, and then there's the petrol injectors, which are very sensitive. Now, diesel is heavier than petrol. It's more oilier than volatile. The primary fuel pump assembly is going to get diesel as the first component, and then that diesel is going to get into the fuel lines, going to the secondary fuel pump, which is at the engine. Now that gets diesel too, and then the diesel is pumped into the common rail, and then the injectors. And mind you, the injectors have very minute holes, and now you've introduced something that's like an oil into them. So now they're just going to clog. All those components cannot be washed. You have to actually replace them, depending on just where the diesel has reached. You know, you might go from like the filling station to like not even 1 kilometer, let's say like 500 meters away before the engine stalls, because now you are running on the fuel that was in the system before. And now when the diesel gets in, your car will just stall. So now, the next time you're going to fill up, make sure you actually sensitize. If it's a diesel car, tell the attendants, yo, I want diesel. Diesel. Have you heard? Diesel. So when they make a mess, they have a case to answer. And if it's a petrol, get out and actually look at what pump they are picking. Don't just tell them petrol and then you're on your phone, so that when they make a mess, they have to answer a question. Me, I say, if you put the wrong fuel and I've told you, and there's a sticker there saying diesel, or there's a sticker there saying petrol, may I first get out of the car, it gets understanded, and then we can know what to do from there. And you have to refund everything. And I'm telling guys, if somebody ever does this mistake to you, make sure they fund that whole process of either cleaning or replacement of the parts, because it's not cheap. Common rails, injectors, fuel pumps, they don't come at cheap. So if somebody messes you up, make sure that they stand for all the costs. And first of all, the attendant who made that mess, they make sure they feel it, bro, because cars are not cheap. Cars are cheap when you're running them and they are good, but when they get problems, you're the one who faces it. Yes.